go.
Well, hello there. Happy Sunday, friends, lovers. It is the last Sunday before Thanksgiving. This is 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir. I'm here with my lovely co-host, Amy Nasir.
Amy Nasir.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us. In fact, we'll be saying thank you a lot today.
Yes, thank you.
That's what it's all about. Happy and grateful Sunday. It is the last Sunday before Thanksgiving, the 327th day of 2020, November 22nd, with just 39 days until the end of the year. That means 33 days until Christmas. Is everybody ready for Christmas?
Yeah.
I just need to buy things. I started my Christmas shopping. I have not finished it yet. I did recommend finishing it early so you can really enjoy the holidays. So everybody get on that, including me. It's just 343 days until Halloween. Start your planning. And on this date, the first Mercedes went for its first test drive.
Fun.
November 22nd, 1900, the first car to be produced under the Mercedes name is taken for its inaugural drive in Cannstatt, Germany. The car was specifically built for its buyer, Emil Jelinek, an entrepreneur with a passion for fast, flashy cars. He'd commissioned the Mercedes car from the German company Daimler Motor in Gesellschaft. It was lighter and sleeker than any car the company had made before, and Jelinek was confident that he would win races so handily that besotted buyers would snap it up. He was so confident he bought 36 of them. It's interesting we talk about Henry Ford didn't invent the car, he invented the assembly line. Well, he really perfected the assembly line for automobile production.
Yes.
So this is interesting that somebody custom ordered a car. Well, that's what they used to do before the Model T made standardization a thing. In exchange for this extraordinary patronage, the company agreed to name its new machine after Jelinek's 11-year-old daughter.
Oh, really?
Mercedes.
Okay. Now that's kind of funny because I always thought that people named their daughters Mercedes in honor of the car, but I guess Mercedes came first.
Well,
as
that's
a name.
right. They name it after the car, and they name the car after the girl.
Nice.
How sweet is that? It's also National Go for a Ride Day. So if you haven't gotten out in your car and gone for a ride, you might want to consider that. What is it, 6 o'clock? 3 o'clock on the West Coast, still bright out there. Go for a Ride Day. It's also Love Your Freckles Day.
Oh, I have some right here.
You do? I love your freckles.
Oh, thank you.
I don't have freckles, but I love your freckles. It is Love Your Freckles Day. My daughter has freckles. The best people have freckles. Commonly found in redheads or those whose parents were respectively dark and fair. Freckles are cute, sun-kissed spots that make the most of those blessed with them look wonderfully unique and natural. I still remember growing up, there were people who didn't like their freckles.
Right.
People would be embarrassed about their freckles. And
Not
it's
sure
funny
why.
to go back to, say, Anne of Green Gables,
Yes.
where our heroine was embarrassed about her freckles. Or to go back to the writings of Ayn Rand, in which she gave the hero of her first best-selling novel, The Fountainhead, red hair.
Yeah.
Precisely because she didn't want him to look like your average Joe. So it is National Love Your Freckles Day. If you have freckles, make sure you're giving yourself that freckle love. Also, happy birthday to Jamie Lee Curtis, who turned 62 today.
Nice.
Star of Halloween and several sequels and all sorts of other horror films, but I don't really do horror films. What I love about Jamie Lee Curtis are the comedies.
Yes. And her attitude in general
And
about
her
life.
attitude in general.
I like her so very much.
Yeah,
She's
True Lies and
I mean,
Trading Places, and even the Freaky Friday remake was fun.
She reminds me a little bit of, oh goodness, now the name escapes me, Carrie Fisher.
Yes.
Personally.
Yes.
In that way, where she's very confident in herself, very confident in her own body and her own skin.
And very charming.
Yes. And she will tell you exactly what she thinks.
Yes. And she properly has the title Lady.
Yes.
Although she has that because she's married to Sir Christopher Guest.
Oh, that's right.
Nigel Tufnell or Count Rugen for Princess Bride fans.
Yes.
So it's got to take a special lady to be able to be successfully and long-term married to Nigel tough now. Christopher Guest. What we're listening to this week. This week, I listened to Jean Moroney's short 1-hour course, Own Your Motivation. She gave that live this week. You can track down the notes for it online. I have recommended her Thinking Directions website before. I'm going to recommend it again. So go to thinkingdirections.com after the show.
Yes.
Or while you're listening. Sign up for her mailing list. She does long seminars, ones that aren't free like this week's. She does 6-hour courses on thinking skills. But the mailing list, which is free that you sign up for, just has gems. It's just invaluable. Amazing what you can get for just for signing up. Highly recommended, and the link is in the show notes. What we've been thinking about this week, well, last week we talked about graciousness as a part of the run-up to Thanksgiving. We said that graciousness is characterized by or showing kindness and courtesy, also charm, good taste, generosity of spirit, and the tasteful leisure of wealth and good breeding.
Well, good self-breeding.
Yes. And we talked about that a couple times. The definition itself is charming and quirky. But that idea that it's easier to be gracious if you have achieved success in life integrates beautifully with the idea of the virtue of selfishness. So that's why I love focusing on that.
Yes.
For that, among other reasons, we'll talk about goodwill as well, because Christmas is right around the corner. But this week, Thanksgiving, we give thanks. Gratitude is a state of mind which flows from focusing. Do you remember our discussion of Weltschmerz?
Yes.
The
worst word in the world.
the idea of the sad world or the sick world.
The world stubbing
world of pain.
It's the world of stubbing one's toe.
Yes. World, literally world pain in German. And we contrasted that with gratitude, a state of mind which flows from focusing not on disappointments or the shortcomings of the world. I've got the air quotes for people who are on audio only, but on the values in the world, the opportunities in the world, the experiences in the world, and especially on the man-made, on the limitless bounty of goods and services, inventions and innovations, art and beauty and music, and opportunity which surrounds us. And I made the point way back in episode 2 when we talked about gratitude, that gratitude, for those who focus on it properly, is the natural state of being. We are surrounded by a bounty of values. So the word of the day is thanks. G.K. Chesterton tells us gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. I'd read that a long time ago, and I'm like, that's vague. Wonder, what does that even mean?
I wonder.
But the more I realize that we are surrounded by values, what I call miracles, the products of a division of labor society that we could never in a million years have produced by ourselves on a desert island, the more that quote from Chesterton makes sense to me. Gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder. Why wonder? Because we are surrounded by values. Another quote from Epictetus. He is a wise man who does not grieve for the things which he has not, but rejoices for those which he has. And that's another one where I thought, well, what if you don't have much? Or what if you're facing a lot of challenges? But that's why I talk about opportunities. I am grateful that things are out there that I can't even have, because so many of them tie into the things I can have. It's why I am not envious of people who've achieved greater success or greater wealth, because living in a country free enough for that to happen has also made all of my opportunities possible.
Going back to the gratitude is happiness doubled by wonder, because that kind of struck me too, and you could interpret it as something like you reach a point of happiness in your life that, you do the certain things that will make you happy. You achieve things, you plan things, you carry things through, you anticipate things that are going to be wonderful, and you're very happy. What I get out of that, in terms of the virtue of productiveness, which I'm sure we'll be talking about.
Yes.
But it's happiness doubled by wonder. And what that says to me is you wonder where all of these values around you come from. Mm-hmm. Where did they start? Who started them? How did they become, how were they created?
Yes.
Who thought this up? And what was their story?
Mm-hmm.
And I always like to, that's one of the things that you would get, that's kind of spiritual fuel that you would get going to a museum or reading a biography about a person who has produced and created wonderful things. So that's what I get from that quote.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a way to escape the hedonic treadmill.
That's right. We talked about that in March.
We have talked about that. The idea that if you do something that makes you happy and you keep doing that thing and you keep doing that thing, eventually your level of happiness reverts to the mean. It goes back to sort of your default state. Mm-hmm. But by surrounding yourself with wonder, by being able to appreciate these things, by focusing on things above and beyond your daily accomplishments. And this again brings in the role of art, beauty, music, which again is why we use the word wonder. That keeps your own accomplishments fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I had posted on Facebook, I said, "You are the end of the world." Which I couldn't resist. This double meaning occurred to me out of the blue. You are the end. You are the point. You are the purpose. You are the reason for the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that gets back to the theme that we will never stop revisiting, which is you are the protagonist of your own novel, of your own film, of your own movie, of your own life.
Mm-hmm.
You are the end of the world. Now, granted, that's also true for everybody else out there, but, Immanuel Kant, one of his maxims, he's always a mixed bag until you dig in deep and then you realize just how nasty a soul he was. But one of his maxims was that one should treat others as ends, not as means. Now, this says the fatal flaw of being intrinsicist, it's ungrounded by fact, but it also kind of leaves you out.
Yeah.
Now, he might, or one of his advocates might argue back, well, of course that includes you. But I think it minimizes that too much. It is worth remembering that everybody else is the end of the world, of their world, and they are their own highest purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But we kind of know that. Not too many people, other than a total narcissist, doesn't get that.
Right.
The thing to remember is that you are the star of your own show.
Mm-hmm.
And I find great value in reminding myself that...
and that actually, it reminds me, it recalls a quote by Ayn Rand, who was talking about death. And she was asked, where do you think you go after you die, and all this? And she said something along the lines of, when I die, I won't die. The world will end.
Yes.
And that's an interesting perspective.
She said it in a particularly charming way. If you can find the 2 Phil Donahue interviews with her that are online, those are great fun to watch.
I think it was actually Tom Lehrer, I think. Or
Tom Snyder?
Tom Snyder. I think it was that. So anyway, but yeah, that's a fun one to look up. So what do you do now between now and when the world ends?
That is a good way to look at that. Sure enough, you are the end of the... I know it's a little bit cheeky to say you are the end of the world, but it's true. You are the end, not the means of your own life and the world you live in. You are the star of your life, the protagonist of your own story. A lot of our friends know that, but a lot of them don't, or at least don't live with that firmly in mind. And so I like to remind myself and everybody else of that. And when you realize that, you realize that the set, the sound stage for this movie you're starring in,
Yep.
is magnificent. You couldn't have designed it better. You couldn't have had a props department come up with a better set
True.
than the world we live in, than the things around us. And we've talked about values and having a value hierarchy. As long as you are in touch with your values, you know your values, you spend a little time on your values, you look around you, and it's the problem isn't that there's too little, the problem is there's too much. I talked about how, I remember when I was a kid, when I was a teenager especially, do you remember being bored? Oh man, there's nothing to do. Man, I haven't been bored since I was a teenager. There is too much to do. There's too much to want. There's too much, it's all too much.
Right.
That's why one of my favorite Beatles songs is George Harrison's It's All Too Much. It really is. And there's so much to be grateful for.
Yes.
Do we have anybody in the chat there who wants to share with us? Give us what are you grateful for this week? Or in general, but with Thanksgiving in mind, share with us, what are you grateful for? I think of the Halloween exchange that you ran over the last couple of months. And
That
the
was
wonderful
wonderful.
things that people sent us.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh, so many fun things and toys and stuff their kids designed and artwork like Holly
It was
made
so
and
wonderful.
the decorations, and people sent us electronic things that became part of our Halloween decorations and art and gifts, and
Oh, that was so good.
too sweet.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.
Yeah, I'm still working on getting a Christmas.
Christmas exchange. Gotta do a Christmas exchange.
Yes.
Gotta figure out something that'll work for that, and then let's do it. Let's make it happen. We did a whole show called Weekends and Holidays. And that right there is 20, 50 things that you can be grateful for. We talk about a lot of silly holidays because those are fun, but even just the big dozen holidays are all opportunity. And we talk in that episode about how you avoid guilt, you avoid feeling like you're obligated, you avoid feeling like you have to buy people things. Every one of those holidays is just an opportunity laid before you for you to take advantage of. On that note, this coming Wednesday...
Ooh, what's happening this
No,
Wednesday?
not Thursday, but Wednesday is the best holiday of all. Amy and I will be celebrating our 20th wedding anniversary.
Yay!
If you're on Facebook, hit us up for an invitation. We're going to do an online vow renewal. We had planned to do this at the chapel that we were married at in Greenfield Village. That's going to have to wait until next year, but we're going to do an online version with the incomparable Andrew Bernstein presiding.
I know Brother Andy is going to be joining us, and I can't wait. I'm so very grateful to him, and it's just going to be so great.
So I love the calendar, the weekends and holidays, the opportunities to celebrate almost constantly.
You know, isn't it a joy in life that human beings have come together and put a calendar of holidays together that we can plan around and anticipate and just focus on particular things, you know. Sam on YouTube, thank you for being here with us, Sam. Very grateful to you. He says, I am grateful for life.
He also says, not can't. I love that.
And I said, no, never can't. Can't just can't.
No.
Or, can't just can't.
Can't just can't. That's right.
Oh, Holly says, I'm grateful for the doctor that suggests the right mix of allergy medications that finally has me feeling human.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's wonderful.
It's amazing to me. Allergy medications. Oh my gosh. Before we had, pick your poison, we have these non-drowsy ones now, Claritin.
Yeah.
And,
it used to be Benadryl, and you just knock you out.
Knockout drops. But think about before that. Can you imagine living in the 18 or 1900s, early 1900s, before there were antihistamines?
And the kind of wheezing, and you'd have to go through, and you'd have all these home remedies. And
those are just common. Think of people with asthma before, Advair or Singular. Think of just a 1,000 discomforts that just didn't have good solutions, and now it's as simple as running up to your pharmacy. It's amazing.
I know. David says, grateful for innovators and creative types who use their skills to the max.
To the max.
To the max. That's right.
Huzzah. I didn't invent these things. Other people did.
Yeah.
All I need to do is work hard enough that I can trade my work for their work. Is that beneficence? Is that something to be grateful for?
Yes,
You
it
didn't turn
is.
on the television.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we talked about Emily in Paris and Ted Lasso. We watched the Christmas film The Holiday,
Yes.
which
it's
was
nice. It's nice.
enormously sweet. Not quite Hallmark sweet, but just very nice.
It's very good.
The great films that we get so much from. I was quoting from Chocolat recently. If you haven't seen the film Chocolat, this is a good time of year to see that. Of course,
Yes.
any time is a good time to see that. I didn't make that film. I didn't write that film. I didn't direct that film. I couldn't have made that happen. But there it is. And for the cost of a DVD or a $3.99 rental or a service that it's already free on,
Right.
there it is. It's
There
for
it
me.
is.
It's hand delivered to my television screen.
Yeah.
This amazing
I mean-
television that for a few $100s is more massive than anything with a picture tube could ever have had in it 25 years ago.
Right.
And now we take it for granted. And we think, maybe I want to move up from 55 inches to 75 inches. Because I can,
My eyesight's getting worse as I get older.
And
Yeah.
before anybody thinks, well, aren't you just echoing the sort of Elizabeth Warren, Barack Obama, you didn't build that? No, because I didn't build that, but I did earn that. And I don't want anybody to think gratitude is ever self-abnegating.
Right.
It's precisely because I believe I have earned it. I know I've earned it because I've got the capital that I can trade for it. But more than that, I'm worthy of it because I'm doing my best out there too.
Yes.
And you're doing your best. You deserve these things.
It's fun to do our best. It really is.
Yeah. And you know that because some of these things are downright expensive. Cars and technology, TV and phones and iPads. I love my iPad. But even utilities. Gas and electric and clean water delivered to your house, and all you've got to do is pay your bill. There was a great Facebook post. I do a lot of questionnaires. If you haven't seen my questionnaires, you've got to see my questionnaires.
You just got to see him.
You got to see them. They're friends only, so you'd have to friend me. Most everything I post is public, but not those, because password reminder questions and stuff. People could be harvesting.
Yes.
Although my answers are often silly enough that they're not really.
So about your lists.
So anyway, somebody asked the question, what's your least favorite bill to pay? And I remembered when we, I may have told the story, we used to be in debt.
Yes, we used to be in debt.
We used to be
was so
many thousands of dollars. I won't even say how many because you won't believe it.
Yeah, I love
In
paying that interest,
Revolving credit and all that stuff. And we changed all that. But that used to. So we used to have if we got to pay the bill, I hate paying the bill, I'll pay that tomorrow. And so somebody posted the question, what's your least favorite bill to pay? I don't really react to that anymore. And it's not just because I paid off all my debts. I still have to pay bills. But every bill I pay means it's something I'm happy to pay for, or at least willing to pay for.
Yes. Because,
other than taxes.
Right. Taxes
are a drag.
Yep.
But my gosh, the gas and the electric and the water and the internet. Oh my gosh, the internet.
Can I ask, why is it a drag to pay taxes? I could answer that real quick.
Amy, why do you think it's a drag to pay your tax bill?
Well, because that money is going to people who I I'm a little bit suspicious of in how they actually spend it and whether or not they're doing something productive to actually, better my life. Sure, we do get our trash picked up every week, which is great.
That's true.
And we do have, perhaps other services and everything like that. We have a nice park down the street from us and such. But, none of those services are magically exclusive to politicians running them.
So you think that we could privatize most of these things?
Yeah, absolutely.
And pay for them voluntarily.
Yeah, and get better results for it too, and more efficiencies and such.
Well, without getting too much into the politics of it, I agree 102%.
I think that our politicians have great room for improvement and much opportunity to expand the fulfillment of their own lives and handing over these services to people who are in the free market. I think that would make them feel great.
What a great job they could do if they only had to focus on the things
I
the
know.
government should properly be doing.
Police and courts
Oh
and
my
everything
gosh,
like
it
that.
would be great.
So simple, and they could go to the spa many more times a week.
Yes,
So,
or play golf.
yes, many more times a week.
So that would be my least favorite bill to pay. But it was funny to me because now when bills come in, actually there is one.
Mm-hmm.
The water bill.
Oh.
I don't mind paying the water bill, although I'm surprised how expensive water is. That includes sewer, and I don't mind paying for that at all. But you can't pay it electronically or automatically. And eventually it's going to get to where you can pay everything automatically and electronically. So but that kind of takes us away from the point. My take-home point is to be an Ebenezer Scrooge of Thanksgiving.
Oh.
Yes.
You mean before or after he met the ghosts?
Oh, definitely after. Scrooge famously committed to keeping the spirit of Christmas.
Yes.
Goodwill toward men alive throughout the year.
Yes.
And so I shall do the same for Thanksgiving. For Thanksgiving past, present, and future. So my own personal homework is going to be to commit to gratitude journaling again.
Yes.
Through the Thanksgiving holiday.
Oh, that's perfect. I was actually going to mention that I wanted to start journaling this week because I have this week off. So it's great.
You have this week off?
I do. I have earned my vacation.
Oh my gosh. Oh wait, it's our wedding anniversary.
Oh, yes it is.
That explains everything. Yes, and I'm going to assign that to everybody listening. Your homework for this week is to commit to gratitude journaling. We talked about this before the last time. I said all you need to do is do it for 2 days. And I always make it 2. If you do it only 1, it doesn't have the same effect. If you do it more than 2, it feels like an obligation, and you just don't do it because it seems like it. So commit to 2 days of gratitude journal. And all that means is get up in the morning or early part of the day. Don't wait until the end of the day. But early in the day, write down 2 things that you're grateful for. And do this twice. Easiest assignment in the world. You can take it as far as you want. You can make it as hard as you want. But I will be doing this, and those of you who know me on Facebook will get to see that. At least 2 items for at least 2 days. In my case, I'm going to do it through the Thanksgiving holiday. And that was great fun when I did it last time.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to doing it again.
Great.
In fact, my Post-it note for the week, I always say, take a Post-it note and stick it on your bathroom mirror with something that would be worth looking at for a week. My Post-it note for the week just says thank you.
Nice.
Now,
short and sweet.
If I say thank you, people listening, I'll thank you at the end here. It's one thing, but to write this and put it on your own mirror, now you're not only saying thank you for the things around you to the world at large, you've got a note saying thank you back to you.
That's nice.
And that is as it should be.
Yes, it is.
Not only are you the star of your own show,
yeah,
you should be your own biggest fan.
Yes. Can I interject a nice Ayn Rand quote?
Yes, please.
All right. This is a short quote on productiveness. There's certain virtues that Ayn Rand cites that are connected to rationality and to what man needs to survive and to flourish and be happy. And so one of the ones she has, this is from the Objectivist Ethics, from the Virtue of Selfishness. Okay, it says, productive work is the central purpose of a rational man's life, the central value that integrates and determines the hierarchy of all his other values. Reason is the source, the precondition of his productive work. Pride is the result. And we've discussed pride before, and I think that we probably have talked about productivity or productiveness as well, and your central purpose in your life and everything like that. I wanted to just kind of step away from this and say that sounds great. Let's kind of look into this a little bit deeper, perhaps see it from different perspectives. because it's, when I was talking about, isn't this great? Isn't it fun to be our best? Isn't it fun to use our reason, our thinking, our creativity to the best degree that we can? Isn't it fun to learn something new? Whether that's a language or coding or music or anything. Then you apply it to your life, and then you can even try to use it as a skill in your work, and learning more about your work and becoming better at that. It's a wonderful thing, and on top of that, you get to trade these skills with other people. So even if you don't have your own business, for instance, you're perhaps in a team, as they say, in a particular job. It's amazing how you can actually interact with other people, bounce ideas off of them, come up with really great ideas to promote the success and the mission of where you're working. But I think it's, going back to the idea, I know that I believe it was Sam on YouTube, when we were talking about politicians and the idea of, wouldn't it be nice to just, take those functions off of their hands and saying, we're going to do a better job of it. And now you can do an even better job at what you're doing, which is governing. And he says, I don't think they want to feel great.
Yeah.
So I don't think that they want to feel good about what they're doing necessarily. I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Sam. I think some of them start off at least wanting to do good.
Well, you've worked with them. You've been in politics, so you know how much is honest and how much is hooey out there.
I should be a political consultant for politicians who want to reform themselves.
Staying on the virtue path.
Yes, on the
straight and
narrow virtue path, and to the point where they can actually look at what they're doing, and pride is the result of what they're doing.
Right. Well, you make a good point, and I'm glad I had you cover the productivity aspect.
Yeah.
We take a lot for granted in a discussion like this that probably I shouldn't. When I say you're the star of your own show and you're surrounded by things that you can be grateful for, that does presuppose that you are worthy, that you are productive, that you have created the value equivalent of what comes back into your life. I mentioned that you need to be able to trade for these things if you want to have them. But it's not just you need to earn enough money to go out and buy a fancy television. You need to be worthy. You need to be the virtue equivalent. You need to be an Eddie Willers to the John Galtz out there. For those who know the Atlas Shrugged reference.
Yep.
And so you make a great point that has to be earned. And on my list of things I'm grateful for, I'll mention a few of them. There are the objectivist businesses that we mentioned last week.
Yes.
There are people out there doing exactly that, and that we get to trade with. I had mentioned Aurum Naturals. I actually have some of the Aurum Candles here.
Ooh, nice.
Like we have the basic beeswax candles here.
Yeah,
we
these
have
are
got
really nice. These
we've got a
taper
pillar
candles.
that's been burning all week. You can see these are smaller tapers here. The pillar has been burning for hours and hours a day, all week.
Yeah.
And it's still only halfway burned down. These things burn forever.
I know.
They're amazing.
They smell wonderful too.
We've got Aromatherapy Votives that we've had for a while. These can be harder to get to keep the stock levels up on. But look at these, and I'm sorry for you, those of you who are on Apple Podcasts and have the
just
audio
imagine
only.
the most beautiful candles you've ever seen in your
look
life.
At these 3
Isn't that amazing?
layer tapers here. These Christmas candles are just amazing.
It's so inventive and so creative. I just absolutely love the work of Aurum Naturals.
So when I've mentioned these before, it might sound a little overblown, and hopefully you've got the video and you can see that. But just go to their website. The link's in the show notes.
It's not like we are completely congruous and genuine when we're talking about this. This is these are products that are really good, and we have extremely high standards. So we know.
So while we're talking about products here, let me see if
we
I can
have another product.
find it. Well, it just came in this week.
Oh.
Tori Press, who's an artist, She's also an objectivist. But she's written a book on
Yes.
reclaiming your self-love. Yeah, wish I could find it, but the link is in the show notes. The book is right here. Here's, put that up on the camera there. I Am Definitely Probably Enough, I think, is the title of the book. The subtitle is Revelations on the Journey to Self-Love. This is charming. It's graphics and insights. My review of the book is up on Amazon. The link to the book is up on Amazon.
Nice.
This should be on your coffee table. In fact, let me take
And
one more
you know,
look.
by the way, she wrote this, but she illustrated everything in here.
Well, yeah,
Everything is
that's the charm of it.
hand illustrated.
Oh, here's my review. Smart, sensitive, wide-open insights. You are not alone in feeling sometimes alone, insignificant, not good enough, or simply not enough. This charming book of illustrations is for anyone who needs a smart, sensitive, open reminder that life is challenging, self-image and self-esteem can be fragile, and yet you are okay. You are enough. You can overcome challenges, and life can get better. Life can be beautiful. An attractive, hardbound, coffee table-styled book out on a table is a good place for it, so you can reach for it whenever you need a boost.
Nice.
So, definitely recommended.
I'm posting the links, just so you know, in Facebook and in YouTube.
Excellent. And they are in the show notes as well. This week we have the folks at Quent, Cordair Fine Art
Oh, yes.
moving to their second location, opening up a second site. So go to Cordair.com, link in the show notes, and browse around, because a lot of folks have said, well, what can we do to help you make sure that your new opening, your second site, is a success? And the answer from Linda, the art goddess, was, well, don't, they're not doing contributions or anything, just buy art. Just buy their stuff. The best way that you can help make sure the second location is a success is take advantage of their wares.
Yes.
So outstanding there. So we are just surrounded by values,
Yeah, and
both within and without our community. I also wanted to mention Stewart Margolis published an article, and this is in relation to, I had mentioned how we talk about philosophy, we talk about Ayn Rand's philosophy, we talk about, oh, we're so smart, but there's so many of us that don't approach challenging issues in a smart way.
Yeah.
And I said before, we should own the borderline issues.
Yes.
We should
Yes.
own the tough ones, not just immigration pro or con, but what do you do about the hard cases? What do you do about the hard cases in sociology? What do you do about the hard cases in gender? Well, 2 days ago was the Trans Day of Remembrance. And in this context, I mentioned, well, transsexuality is that's a difficult topic.
It's a very deep and difficult topic.
And it only affects a fraction of a percent of people, so a lot of people shrug it off and say, oh, we shouldn't go there. And I said, no, if we've got the right philosophy,
Right.
we should be the ones who can say, well, no, here's the answers. They're not simple, but here's the way it is.
Right.
And Stewart Margolis, just as with his article about homosexuality, has now put out a piece on his Facebook wall about transsexuality, and it's an outstanding piece, very intelligently written, and it just makes me appreciate how smart, not smart, because a lot of people are smart, but how rational, how willing to go through an issue
Yes.
somebody like Stewart is. It's outstanding. The link to it is in the show notes. You definitely want to read that.
And thoughtful and courageous, and
Yeah, it takes courage these days
amazing.
to approach topics which there's no upside. What's
Right.
the upside other than people say, oh, you're so courageous, while a bunch of other people shrug you off or throw angry retorts at you, and it's an outstanding piece, well worth reading.
I just wanted to interject and say, with all these products and ideas and everything like that we're promoting, I really think it's important to really think about when you are trading with somebody and exchanging value for value with somebody. It's really nice to know that you are trading with somebody who understands your values. So that's just another reason why we're all these people that we know who run businesses and such. It's a wonderful feeling, and it's has added spiritual value to the transaction when you know that that person can appreciate the same things that you do.
That's true.
The idea of using reason, of understanding it, and really appreciating the power of reason, the efficacy of reason, that they understand that too, is just
well, it's one of the things
fantastic.
That's gratifying about doing this podcast is I know from experience that many, maybe most of the people listening not only want to hear a conversation about issues, but there's real kindred spirits out there.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to talk to my kinds of people and read the comments and go back and forth with my kind of people,
yes,
that's invaluable. That if there's a cause for gratitude, there it is. And again, these businesses and folks that we know personally who are doing these outstanding, I could talk about 100,000 different things out there. You should go out and buy this thing that's my favorite thing. When we finally got out of debt, I went out and bought my dream car, which doesn't sound that crazy because it wasn't a sports car. It was a Honda Accord.
Right.
Go out and buy a new Accord.
It's a very reliable Honda Accord that will
God,
run
it's a
for a long
beautiful car.
time.
After 5 years, it doesn't seem as fancy. It just seems ultra reliable.
Yes. And nice looking too. You've kept it up.
But I could go out and tell you all the different things. You should buy these guitars and you should buy these electronics, and but I just love being able to share businesses that I respect and people that I know. So sorry if I go on too long with that, but it is one of the things that I'm grateful for.
Yes.
As I say, and you kindred spirits out there, you're amazing. This is our 38th episode.
Oh, it's amazing.
So my post-it note saying thank you is also to all of you. Thank you. Incidentally, I also have an old post-it note here, which kind of fits this week too. I never lose sight of the fact that just being is fun. You might remember that's Katharine Hepburn, and we had quoted her on a previous episode. I never lose sight of the fact that just being is fun. I've talked about people. I don't understand people who aren't comfortable in their skin, who don't love their five senses, whose default state isn't one of pleasure. Just the feel of your clothes on your skin and the colors that you see when you open your eyes and the sounds of everything around you and the...
Yeah. But, barring anybody who is, not in a good physical state, I should say.
I am reminded that people face challenges.
Yeah.
And it's not...
Or a good mental state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But hopefully that's something we at least are all working toward.
Right. Barring any of these circumstances and everything like that, we should definitely strive to enjoy ourselves.
Yes.
Enjoy ourselves, within our own skins, with the senses that we have, with everything. I mean, yeah, there's so much that we do take for granted, and we should have a post-it note in our mirror that says thank you.
I wrote myself a note. I have a handwritten note here, too big to put on a post-it note. Should have typed it out and put it on the screen. It says,
it's beautiful writing, by the way.
How much would you pay? What would you offer if the next 24 hours of your life weren't free? We treat our time as if it's free. It was just given to, and this is true, it was just given to us. And sometimes, maybe not you, but some of us out there sometimes treat it as if that's just what it's worth.
I see. Yeah.
But if somebody said, I've got the machine that's going to suck the time of your life out of you, what would you pay if you had to pay for the next 24 hours?
This reminds me of a kind of perspective that I used to have that I no longer have, at least hopefully. But I know a lot of young folks have who get into, say, for instance, a freelance job. Say if you're a freelance graphic designer, a freelance writer, or whatever it is, and you're working from home.
As you were.
And the client is kind of taking advantage of you. And they're not respecting the time that you're putting into the work, and they're not necessarily respecting the hours that you agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then you feel, oh, I need to put more work into this because I feel that, having this client is so much more important or so much more valuable to me than my own time.
Yes.
And it's something that I think a lot of people have to work through, because you want to, some people want to people please and make sure everything's okay with them, because then you feel like you are a success in some way.
Yes.
But they forget, and they kind of take for granted their own life, their own time, their own skill set, their own value that they bring.
Yes.
And the contract that they agree to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, it's as if I were still a freelancer, I would go to my client and say, hey, you know what? I know that we talked about in our contract that this is the hourly rate that I'm going for, but I'm going to up that. I'm going to, I'd like to have $20 more an hour. You're going to pay that, okay? Because I want you to feel like you're pleasing me, because I know that you are a people pleaser.
That's a clever twist. Actually, there's about 10 different approaches I could give anybody who finds themselves in that situation.
Yeah.
If you sign up for life coaching with me, I will tell you, I've already shared half of them with you. Things like the Post-it note that said, you have chosen this.
Mm.
When you get yourself in a challenging relationship with somebody, know what your safe word is. Know the point at which you will walk.
Yes.
And then realize that until you reach that point, you're going to keep giving it everything you want to give it, even if you don't want to give it, because you have chosen this. But I could give you 10 different ways to deal with that kind of situation. You're right. You can be in situations where you don't feel grateful
Mm-hmm.
until you reframe.
Yeah.
And the ability to both step back and to look at the not just the hierarchy of values, but the succession of choices that have led you to that place can be a good way to realize, oh, wait, I'm still in control of this.
Right. Right.
We're back in the fast food restaurant days, when I used to be a fast food restaurant manager. Hell, when I used to be a fast food restaurant employee, I realized early on that I could walk.
Yep.
I could walk out the door. Hell, in the United States, I had more power than management did, because a lot of jobs, they're not allowed to fire you without all sorts of justifications. But you can walk out the door anytime you want, and they can't do squat.
That's right.
So a lot of times when we feel like we don't have the power, we don't have agency, we're not the ones in control, it's because things aren't going the way you want and you feel like your values are being leveraged against you.
Yeah.
But that can always be reframed.
Yeah.
Again, sign up for life coaching with Robert Nasir, and I'll take you through that.
Yes. He charges a very reasonable hourly rate.
I do.
Yes. We have Jennifer says, businesses say time is money.
That's right.
It is.
That is right. And,
very much is.
And money is effort, and effort is time, and it's all integrated.
Your life, your own life, your being is valuable in and of itself. You have this power of reason, of creativity, of learning, of taking a knowledge, of integrating that knowledge, of applying it to create something that's valuable to other people.
Yep.
Your life is valuable.
People say don't sell yourself. But when you realize selling is trading, well, should you trade yourself? Should you trade your time and effort for what you want?
Yeah.
So don't sell yourself short.
Right.
Don't let anybody take advantage of you. But by all means, sell yourself.
Yeah.
Trade yourself.
Be grateful for who you are.
Yes.
And how that relates to working with other people. Yep.
Yes. Don't sell yourself short. Don't sell out. Don't ever trade in contradistinction or in a clash with your values. Trade on your values.
David says, wasn't there a movie about people working to purchase extensions for their time to be alive?
I don't know, but I haven't followed
spooky.
that much science fiction.
just kind of
Other than real mainstream stuff, but I'm sure it's out there. It's not.
Logan's run with life tokens.
Yeah. Can I buy another 35 years? I'm sure that's been done. I remember reading some science fiction novels along that line. Several of them where the wealthy people have access to whatever the thing is that allows you to live longer. And the kind of challenge clashes. Yeah. But as I say, this is the 38th episode of 5 Minutes with Robert Nasir.
Amazing.
Since March 1st was episode 0, so I guess technically this is the 39th episode.
Yeah. I went back and I listened to the second episode on gratitude, and it's good.
It is pretty good.
But I couldn't believe the things we were saying, like, we might have our Great Lakes Objectivist Conference in September.
GlowCon, that's right. We were like, everybody save the weekend for GlowCon. Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Well, Moderna's got their act together. Pfizer's got their act together.
Right, and we were talking about making sure that you are good to yourself and treating yourself well and doing things to provide yourself some comfort in these trying times.
It was interesting. We were offering very broad advice because nobody knew anything specific on March 15th.
Yeah. Nobody knew anything about how we've been living and how we've actually been living pretty successfully, as I might add. And I'm very proud of that.
We've come a long way, baby.
I'm very grateful for the months that we've spent staying afloat and doing this podcast every single week. It's been great.
Yes, and running over.
Yeah.
So let me just say that past episodes of the show are online at youtube.com/Robert Nasir. Please subscribe. And if you found an episode fun or insightful or valuable in some way, please share it. Thank you on this Thanksgiving week. Thank you to all of our patrons, our Patreon supporters. If you're not a supporter, you can join them, patreon.com/Robert Nasir. You keep the lights on. You keep us afloat. And you keep us spiritually jazzed.
That's right.
And you are greatly appreciated.
And Jennifer says, vaccines are coming.
Vaccines are coming. Damn right.
And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us. We've got, Jennifer and Holly, who is just amazingly wonderful.
I'm glad you're watching the comments there, because I've been blah, blah, blah.
Holly says there are so many choices now. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Holly, you're right. It's overwhelming.
Yes. Gary says, looking good, Robert.
Oh, Gary from my last job.
Oh, that's so nice.
I hope you're doing well, Gary. Well, Gary's a musician.
Oh, great.
And unlike me, he has stuck with it. So, I mean, it's kind of hard during COVID times, but
and we've got
he's a pro keyboard player.
Mary Aline, and David, and Sam from YouTube.
Thank you,
other people.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanksgiving will be a better holiday knowing that you're all out there.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing a bunch of you during the Zoom wedding. The Zoom vow renewal on Wednesday.
20th
celebrating
anniversary.
Our 20th anniversary.
Oh my goodness.
And anybody who doesn't make it to that, we'll tell you all about it next Sunday. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being there. Thank you for being and I do mean you specifically, thank you for being your awesome self.
Mm-hmm.
As always, we wish you success. We wish you happiness. We wish you gratitude.
Yes.
And as always, we wish you love.